making the headlines tonight. The National Assembly's president hopes the recommendations of ASAP 11 will be implemented for the benefit of the people of Asia and Europe. The two-day 13th Asia-Europe Meeting Summit has ended on Friday, with Prime Minister Hun Sen promoting multilateralism and global governance. UN Resident Coordinator Pauline Tamziz has urged the royal government of Cambodia to draft a law on same-sex marriage. South African scientists have detected a new COVID-19 variant, calling it B11529, with a very unusual constellation of mutations. Visakha Football Club wins the Samdak Daejo Hun Sen Football Championship for the second time in a row, after beating Priya Khan Reach Sveirang. And giant balloons parade on the 95th annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, as people enjoy a little happiness before the holidays. This is the Daily Roundup on the EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. My name is Paolo Bonini. The President of the National Assembly of Cambodia and co-chair of the 11th Asia-Europe Parliamentary Partnership meeting, Heng Samrin, has stated that the first online ASAP 11 meeting held on the 16th of November went well. The outcome of that meeting was a joint declaration addressing common challenges experienced by the two regions. He hopes that the declaration during the meeting will be implemented for the benefit of both Asia and Europe. EAC news reporter Dashana Gochan has the story.
The President of the National Assembly, Heng Samrin, shared remarks on the joint declaration of the ASAP 11 meeting at the 13th Asia-Europe Summit on Thursday. He has said that this declaration affirms the strengthening of parliamentary relations between Asia and Europe for peace, security, prosperity, prevention of epidemics, and the promotion of post-COVID-19 socio-economic recovery, including the recovery of a green economy which addresses the interaction of security, water, energy, and food. Heng Samrin has added that the declaration is aimed at resolving common issues between the two regions and providing policy recommendations in an effort to serve the common interests of both regions as well as the world. He says he sincerely hopes the recommendations outlined in the ASAP 11 declaration will be considered and implemented to achieve lasting progress, prosperity, and well-being for the people of both continents. The 11th Asia-Europe Parliamentary Partnership meeting, held and led by the Cambodian Parliament on November 16th, was attended by 170 delegates from 31 countries in Asia and Europe, including key partners such as the European Union, ASEAN, and the Parliamentary Association for Peace of the Global Peace Federation. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
As the 13th Asia-Europe Meeting Summit ended on Friday, Prime Minister Hun Sen has made 3 points to rebuild socio-economic development back. He says that these points are needed to be prioritised, especially in the middle of COVID-19 pandemic that badly affects everyone's lives. The Prime Minister's 3 key points for prioritisation for the ASEAN leaders and partners are solving the problem caused by COVID-19 pandemic, pushing the social economic back amid COVID-19, and rebuilding the future with durability. He says the second plenary meeting focuses on COVID-19 vaccine with good price, with no discrimination on the source of vaccine authorised by the WHO. Prime Minister says the joint efforts is essential for the reopening of tourism. He has added that the royal government of Cambodia has identified vaccination as a key measure, in addition to the preventative measures to protect public health and save lives. Prime Minister Hun Sen proudly shared that Cambodia has already vaccinated over 88% of the total population of 16 million, leading to the reopening of the country's socio-economic activities, including tourism, in the new normal way. The 13th Asia-Europe Meeting Summit has ended on Friday, Leaders across Asia and Europe regions have expressed commitment to achieve stronger relations. Prime Minister Hun Sen has encouraged ASEAN leaders and partners to invest more resources to strengthen ASEAN into a necessary and solid foundation that will effectively bring peace and prosperity to future generations. EAC News reporter Ria Soka has the story.
The 13th Asia-Europe meeting was concluded on Friday evening, chaired by Prime Minister Hun Sen. In his closing ceremony speech, Prime Minister Hun Sen says that there are three main documents adopted. The three important documents include the Phnom Penh Statement on the post-COVID-19 socio-economic recovery, the ASEM 13 Chair Statement, and the way forward on ASEM connectivity. The Prime Minister has expressed his pride as Cambodia has successfully hosted the ASEM 13. During the Internal and Regional Issue Summit, Prime Minister Hun Sen has called for greater multilateral actions and international cooperation to respond to the effects of climate change. He says the effects of climate change are increasingly visible and pervasive. The Prime Minister says Europe is leading the way in the transformation towards climate neutrality, but many Asian countries have to take into account their national circumstances, as well as socio-economic costs. Prime Minister Hun Sen has also reminded the leaders that they have to recognize that risks will persist in the context of geopolitical rivalry. He says the ASEM's commitment to peaceful settlement of disputes in accordance with international laws and the respect for diplomatic processes should remain the fundamental building blocks in order to promote confidence-building measures in the two regions. The Asia-Europe meeting addresses political, economic, financial, social, cultural, and educational issues of common interest in a spirit of mutual respect and equal partnership. Reyes Soko, EAC News.
The chairman of the Cambodian Human Rights Committee, Keo Remy, has met with the UN Resident Coordinator and UNDP County Director for Cambodia, Pauline Thomas, on Thursday. He has informed the UN Resident Coordinator that the government is working towards human rights. On the UN side, Pauline Thomas has urged the royal government to draft a law on same-sex marriage. EAC News reporter Jashana Gochan has the details.
The UN Resident Coordinator, Pauline Tamesis, has urged the chairman of the Cambodian Human Rights Committee, Keo Remy, to draft a law on same-sex marriage. The discussion took place during their meeting on Thursday. Keo Remy responded that they will first need to assess and study about the implementation of a same-sex marriage law in the country. In addition, the CHRC chairman has also detailed the progress Cambodia has made on human rights. He highlighted the anti-discrimination and gender equality laws that Cambodia is preparing. He added that the Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Justice, and Ministry of Women's Affairs are currently studying the process of preparing these laws. The chairman says they are following the recommendations made in the Universal Periodic Review released in 2019. UN Coordinator Pauline Tamesis has acknowledged the progress made, especially in regard to the goal of eliminating violence against women and achieving gender equality. She has encouraged the government to increase education and outreach to continue addressing these issues. Both the UN representative and the chairman of the Human Rights Committee agreed to continue cooperation between the two groups, including plans to jointly organize a national workshop on the Universal Periodic Review midterm report and the workshop on the right to information law at the beginning of 2022. The 2019 Universal Periodic Review provided Cambodia with 198 human rights-related recommendations from UN member states. The Cambodian government accepted 173 of these recommendations and noted an additional 25. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
In Battambang, a surprising development in the case of the cache of arms found on the border. An official of the Ministry of Interior and 6 other ex-soldiers were detained by the Battambang provincial authorities. They have already been charged at the Phnom Penh Municipal Court for allegedly being involved in arms trafficking. The arrests come after a series of weapons were found hidden along the Cambodian-Thai border in Battambang province. The cache was a sizable one, including 100 AK-47s, 3 M79s, 99 AKs, and a 12.7mm machine gun with 508 rounds of ammunition. The destination of the weapons at current is not known. Sources from Battambang provincial authorities have revealed that the arrested officers were generals, officers of the General Department of Technical Equipment of the Ministry of National Defence, a colonel, lieutenants, soldiers and ex-soldiers, border guards and one officer from the Private Investment Department of the General Department of Immigration. Long-awaited news that will cheer the heart of many in Siem Reap's tourist-related industries. Director of Siem Reap's International Airport, Bun Rota, has announced that Siem Reap is now open to receive fully vaccinated foreign travellers. He has also specified that visa-exempted countries, especially from the ASEAN regions, are also welcome to Cambodia. EAC News reporter Yuri Matosko has the story.
There are a few announcements of late that could be considered more important to the residents of Siem Reap. With the opening of international travel, a long-last and dormant tourist industry is set to spring back into life with the opening of the international airport. The crucial announcement was made at a meeting on Wednesday, assessing and ensuring the safety of guests to give visitors a safe as well as a memorable experience. Director of Siem Reap International Airport, Bun Rata, says that Cambodia has a special list that allows residents of some countries to enter Cambodia without a visa. Mostly is the Asian countries, which is Cambodia's open sky policy. Although open arms welcoming tourists, he has reminded that travelers to adhere to the stricter requirements in place with the vaccination on top. These also include PCR test certificates taken 72 hours before arrival and rapid tests upon arrival at the airport to ensure the safety of Cambodian citizens as well as other visitors. Yuri Matosko, EAC News.
As Cambodia's COVID-19 cases surpass 120,000, Cambodia's daily numbers gets down to 20. On Friday, only 29 new cases were recorded. That includes 6 imported cases. Cambodia has achieved a total tally of COVID-19 at 120,038. 30 patients were successfully treated and dispatched overnight. They make the total recovery 116,417. But unfortunately, 4 people have lost their lives due to COVID-19. Cambodia's total deaths since the beginning of the pandemic now stands at 2,922. The kingdom's active cases have come down, though, to 699. Officials of Banteay Minchey and Battambang provinces have met with the governor of Thailand's Srakhau province on Thursday. They convened at the Klong Luk International Office, Srakhau province, discussing about strengthening the cooperation in the borders. The officials say that they are aiming to improve an already strong alliance between the provinces and the two countries. EAC News reporter Ria Soka has the story.
The Cambodian delegation was led by Banteay Minchey Provincial Governor Umriat Ray and Battambang Provincial Governor Soklu. They met with the officials from Thailand's Sakio Province, led by its governor Parinyapot Hisat. During the meeting, the two sides discussed the opening of the border checkpoint in Banteay Minchey Province, including Poipet International Border Crossing, Malay Border Crossing, Boeng Trakun, and Battambang's province. They are also planning to open the 13-kilometer international border crossing in Sampo, Lun, and Klong Hat districts in Sakio Province in Thailand. In addition, the Cambodian side also requested the Thai side to allow only 3,000 Cambodians to go to and from work in the morning and return in the evening. That's from 6 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock in the evening. The Thai officials say that they will relay to their Thai government leaders the request of the Cambodian officials and will announce the result once decided. Rhea Soko, EAC News.
The Permanent Secretary of State of the Ministry of Social Affairs, Veterans and Youth Rehabilitation, Num Tot, attended a working meeting on child protection in Bante Minche on Wednesday. He has encouraged the provincial authorities to pay more attention on child rights, especially to eliminate the child labour exploitation. EAC News reporter Deshan Gochan has the story.
At the meeting held with defense workers and partner organizations, Permanent Secretary of State Num Tot emphasized that all children deserve rights. He says stakeholders must strive to protect children through actions such as strengthening child protection systems, establishing welfare services, and building community capacity to respond to and prevent all forms of violence against children. Num Tot has thanked the organizations and institutions already engaged in child protection programs. He has urged all other stakeholders to continue actively working towards the elimination of child labor activities, where children are especially vulnerable to exploitation and violence. He has added that all children are entitled to their basic rights, which include the right to participate in community with parental care, the right to access to food, the right to education, the right to health care, the right to law enforcement protection, and the right to attention, protection, and care. According to a report released by the Women and Children Advisory Committee in Bante Minche on the number of houses where vulnerable children are at risk, there are at least 1,149 households where children live separated from their families. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
South African scientists have detected a new COVID-19 variant in small numbers and are working to understand its potential implications. The announcement came out on Thursday. Officials characterized the variant, which has double the number of mutations as the currently dominant Delta variant, and it is described as the worst one yet.
Scientists call the new COVID variant as B11529. They say it has a very unusual constellation of mutations, which are concerning because they could help it evade the body's immune response and make it more transmissible. It has double the number of mutations as the currently dominant Delta variant. Early signs from the diagnostic laboratories suggest the variant have rapidly increased in the most populated province of Gauteng and may already spread to 8 other provinces. In a regular daily update on confirmed cases countrywide, the National Institute for Communicable Diseases later reported 2,465 new COVID-19 infections, slightly less than double the previous day's infections. The NICD did not attribute the latest resurgence to the new variant, although some leading local scientists suspect it is the cause. South Africa has confirmed around 100 specimens as B11529, but the variant has also been found in Botswana and Hong Kong, with the Hong Kong case from a traveler from South Africa. As many as 90% of new cases in Gauteng could be B11529, according to the scientists. The data are limited, but experts are working overtime with all the established surveillance systems to understand the new variant and what the potential implications could be. South Africa has requested an urgent sitting of a World Health Organization working group on virus evolution on Friday to discuss the new variant. South Africa was the first country to detect the Beta variant last year. Beta is one of only 4 labeled of concern by the WHO because there is evidence that it is more contagious and vaccines work less well against it. Meanwhile, Britain has made an announcement that they are much concerned by a newly identified coronavirus variant spreading in South Africa on Thursday, which might make vaccines less effective and imperil progress made across the world fighting the pandemic. Britain is temporarily banning flights from 6 African countries, which will be included to the COVID-19 travel red list. Those countries are South Africa, Namibia, Lesotho, Eswatini, Zimbabwe, and Botswana.
Our scientists are deeply concerned about this variant. I'm concerned, of course, and that's one of the reasons we've taken this action today. I will say we don't know enough about this variant. No one does. I think probably the UK knows more than most because of the excellent work we do on surveillance. But I think it is right that we take this approach and we remain cautious.
The UK Health Security Agency said that the variant called B11529 has a spike protein that was dramatically different to the one in the original coronavirus that COVID-19 vaccines are based on. It was only first identified at the start of the week, but Britain rushed to introduce travel restrictions in South Africa, and 5 neighboring countries acting much more swiftly than with previous variants. Javid has claimed that more data was needed, but the travel restrictions were necessary as a precaution.
A North Korean man was sentenced to death by firing squad after being found smuggling the famous Netflix series Squid Game. Squid Game is a South Korean survival drama series, which draws from a similarly named Korean children's game. And like the drama series, one man has risked his life to play the real-life deadly game in North Korea.
North Korean President Kim Jong-un is waging war on slang, jeans, and foreign films. The country has a sweeping law which seeks to stamp out any kind of foreign influence, harshly punishing anyone caught with foreign films, clothing, or even using slang. The North Korean guards make sure that everyone knows the penalty for smuggling illicit videos is death. Because of this strict law, a North Korean man was sentenced to death by firing squad after students were caught watching a smuggled copy of the popular Netflix show Squid Game. The man was accused of bringing digital copies of the series back from China and selling them on USB flash drives. The student who bought a copy was sentenced to life in prison, while 6 others who watched were sentenced to 5 years of hard labor. Teachers and administrators at the school are also being punished, with some being fired and sent to work in mines. 109 Sangmu, officially known as Surveillance Bureau Group 109, is a specialized government strike force that hunts down illegal video watchers. While consuming media content from capitalist countries like the US and South Korea is illegal under North Korean dictatorship and punishable by death, this is the first time the elimination of reactionary thought and culture law has been applied in a case involving minors. It is reported that the regime will now mercilessly interrogate those arrested to trace every person in the distribution chain, leading to further arrests. Residents are engulfed by anxiety as the 7 caught will be mercilessly interrogated until the authorities can find out how the show was smuggled in when the border is closed due to the pandemic. North Korea is taking this incident very seriously, saying that the students' education was being neglected. The Central Committee has dismissed the school principal, their youth secretary, and their homeroom teacher. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
Japanese-Vietnamese relations are over a millennium old, and both countries have agreed on Wednesday to strengthen their security cooperation and help boost their economies affected by COVID-19 pandemic. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida held a meeting with his Vietnamese counterpart Pham Minh Chinh during his visit to Tokyo. The two leaders have pledged to work together for a free and open Indo-Pacific region, amid growing concerns over China's territorial assertiveness. The Japanese Prime Minister says that Japan will cooperate with Vietnam on its digital transformation technology, innovation and diversification of Japanese firms' supply chains. He commits to strengthening Japan and Vietnam's economic cooperation for a post-COVID-19 recovery. Kishida has also announced that Japan has donated an additional 1.54 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine to Vietnam and transported them on China's flight back to his country on Thursday. While the Vietnamese Prime Minister has agreed to continue top-level talks to strengthen political trust, substantial cooperation on security, national defense, diplomacy, and to cooperate on Taiwan. The Vietnamese premier is hopeful of having a long-term partnership and take the relationship with Japan to another level. Wednesday's meeting was the first in-person meeting with a top leader for Kishida after becoming Japan's prime minister last month. Now for a look at news making international headlines this Friday, the 26th of November.
The Director General of Anti-Narcotics Force, Major General Gulam Xavier Nerejo, has reported that about 18 metric tons of drugs worth $1.3 billion were confiscated and burnt on Wednesday on the outskirts of Islamabad. He claims that it's the money which spoils Pakistan's economy. It's a black money which causes inflation in everything. Therefore, the drug is not only spoiling the youth, but it is spoiling the economy as well. Pakistan is strategically located at a place where 84% of the world's heroin is being produced in neighboring country Afghanistan. And most of the time, the transits happen through Pakistan to the international community and internally as well. During the drug burning ceremony, Director General of ANF has claimed that his organization has seized 184 metric tons of narcotics this year.
6 people died and dozens were trapped after a fire in a coal mine in the Khmer region of Russia, Siberia on Thursday, with close to 50 people still trapped inside. Emergency services and local authorities has relayed. Rescues have already saved more than 200 people from the mine. There were 285 people in the Litsia Vasinaya mine and 236 had been brought to the surface. The rescue operation was ongoing. Regional Governor Sergei Tsilivilev has passed on that a total of 6 people had died and another 43 people had been injured, 2 of whom were in a serious condition. A number of workers have suffered from smoke poisoning.
Dozens of migrants came ashore at Dungeness on the Kent coast of the UK on Wednesday after crossing from France by boat. Migrants, including young children, were brought ashore by a rescue vessel after crossing the channel between France and Britain aboard an inflatable lifeboat. Others were intercepted by Border Force officials. The channel is one of the world's busiest shipping lanes and currents are strong. Overloaded lifeboats often barely stay afloat and are at the mercy of waves. At least 27 people were reported to have died on Wednesday after their lifeboat capsized while attempting the crossing. The International Organization for Migration has declared it was the biggest single loss of life in the channel since it began collecting data in 2014. Officials consider it the worst disaster involving migrants in the waterway separating the countries. According to fishermen, more migrants left France's northern shores than usual to take advantage of calm sea conditions, although the water was bitterly cold. One fisherman called the rescue services after seeing an empty boat and people floating motionless nearby. 5 women and a girl were among the dead. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said he was shocked by what happened, adding the United Kingdom would leave no stone unturned to stop human trafficking gangs. 4 people had been arrested near to the Belgian border, announcing those people are possible suspects directly linked to the illegal and dangerous crossing. On Wednesday evening, Prime Minister Johnson and French President Emmanuel Macron have both agreed to step up joint efforts to prevent the crossings and stop the gangs putting people's lives at risk.
After the break, let's have a look at all the latest sports news.
EAC News fully supports the Royal Government of Cambodia's preventative and administrative measures against COVID-19. But we need you to play your part in helping bring the 20 February community transmission event to an end. Wash your hands regularly, sanitize wherever possible. Keep an eye on your body temperature. use the Stop COVID QR code, and maintain a safe social distance. But above all, please, please, please wear a mask. Only together can we beat COVID-19. EAC News' audience is growing. Our YouTube channel has over 150,000 verified subscribers. To mark the milestone, we've received the Silver Creator Award from YouTube. It's given to channels with over 100,000 subscribers. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says the award celebrates EAC News' hard work and incredible achievement. She says we've brought a unique voice and style to the world, but have also created valuable connections and built a community along the way. The next milestone we're going for is 1 million subscribers, and we'd really like that Gold Creator Award. So if you're not already a subscriber, head to YouTube and search for EAC News. Subscribers get alerts when the Daily Roundup is premiering and live events are streaming. Get all the latest breaking news and updates from Cambodia in English. The EAC News channel on YouTube. Cambodia made clear. If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
For the second time in a row, Visaka Football Club has won the Samdech Daejeon Hun Sen Football Championship, beating Priakar Rish Sveireng. The tournament was held on Tuesday at RSN Stadium.
In the final match between Visaka Football Club and Priakar Sveireng for 90 minutes plus 30 minutes last night, both teams kept the score 2-2 equals. Both teams are close to 5 goals, while Priakar Sveireng failed to score the 5th penalty, making Visaka football team continue to hold the new championship, while Priakar Sveireng received number 2. Visaka football team secured the top, followed the Priakar Sveireng and Phnom Penh Crown at number 3 for the Bonket, while Fair Play for Phnom Penh Crown. The champion Visaka football team has received a trophy with a prize money $25,000. $15,000 for the second and $7,500 for the third spot. The Fair Play team received $750, as well as the other individual awards, such as the top scorer, best goalkeeper, and coach.
NBA veteran centre Marc Gasol announced on Thursday his return to Spain to play for Girona, a second division basketball club he founded in 2014. The 36-year-old three-time All-Star and NBA 2013 Defensive Player of the Year will play until the end of the season, before making a decision on retiring. Gasol, the owner and president of Girona, played last season for the Los Angeles Lakers after a championship-winning stint with the Toronto Raptors, who he joined from the Memphis Grizzlies, where he spent over a decade. In 2019, Gasol helped Spain to FIBA World Cup glory, a title he also won in 2006, while he has 2 Olympic silver medals to his name, from 2008 and 2012. His brother Pau retired from basketball last month following a glittering career in the NBA and with the Spanish national team. Hundreds of fans paid tribute to soccer great Diego Maradona on Thursday. on the one-year anniversary of his death, as Naples unveiled a statue of the Argentinian World Cup champion in front of the stadium named after him.
Soccer lovers gathered in front of the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona, formerly named the Stadio São Paulo, to remember the Argentina soccer legend, widely regarded as one of the game's greatest ever players and in Naples, seen as a god. Chanting, "There's only one Maradona," the fans lit flares and candles next to the statue of the soccer legend. Maradona, known as Pelusa for his own flowing mane, and D10S or Dios, a play on the word for God in Spanish, in his famous number 10 jersey, died on November 25, 2020, at the age of 60 due to the cardiac arrest. Born in a humble neighborhood on the outskirts of Buenos Aires, Maradona became an icon to many in Argentina and around the world. He moved to Napoli in 1984 for a then world record $7.5 million contract, becoming a cult hero in Naples, where he helped drive an underdog team to domestic and European glory. The player has been immortalized with murals and statues, as well as tattoos, and children, boys and girls, have been named after him. The city is practically a shrine to the soccer star, with Napoli's soccer shirts adorned with his name, filling streets, vendors, and in the famous Spanish Quarter, murals and posters of him plaster all the walls.
Recently retired MotoGP legend Valentino Rossi was honoured during the EICMA motorcycle fair in Milan on Thursday. Rossi, one of the motorcycling greats and most charismatic champions, announced in August his retirement from MotoGP at the end of the 2021 season, after a quarter of a century in Grand Prix racing. The 42-year-old Italian, nicknamed the Doctor, finished 10th in his final race at the Valencia GP earlier in November, to end the season 18th in the riders' standing. Rossi, a 9 times world champion with 7 of his titles coming in the top category, is planning a move into racing cars.
From next year, I'm going to start motor racing. It's something that I have always liked. I was born at first as a car driver. When I was little, I used to drive a kart. Then I swapped to a motorbike. Let's see. I'm really happy to continue being a driver because I like to race and I like to be on the racetrack, but I don't know how it's going to be with cars. If it's going to be fun or maybe almost as good as the MotoGP, almost. Of course, it won't be the same. Well, let's see next year.
Vediamo l'anno prossimo.
Rossi fans have expressed that they are delighted to see the legend in motorsport. Now let's have a look at the weather and see what you can expect for tomorrow. And finally, Thanksgiving Day is a celebration for people in the United States to give thanks for what they have. It has been an annual holiday in the United States since 1863. In some cities and towns, there are colourful parades during the Thanksgiving weekend. In most areas, these festivals also mark the opening of the Christmas shopping season.
New York City has celebrated an inflation day. It is the city's opportunity to lay out all their balloons in show order and start inflating them with helium. It's Thanksgiving Day, and people need a little happiness and joy right before the holiday. Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade 2021 displays its colorful and fancy balloons on 25th of November.
Today's an optimistic day. The parade will be an optimistic day tomorrow. Seeing all of the faces, seeing all the smiles, seeing people just coming around safely, but coming out, showing up to experience the magic that the Macy's Parade brings to New York City is refreshing and inspiring, and we're thrilled to be here and put a lot of work to get to this point. So excited that everyone's enjoying themselves.
The big balloons were blown up on Wednesday on the eve of the 95th annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Last year's balloon inflation event was canceled due to the coronavirus pandemic, with the Macy's Parade limited to a television-only event the next day. Fan favorite and newcomer Grogu, the Star Wars character popularly known as Baby Yoda, joined astronaut Snoopy and Papa Smurf, and of course, they were joined at the event by children looking on. Workers methodically inflated each big balloon with helium. They did their work under nets, weighed down by sandbags, to keep the balloons from flying away.
Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup here on the EAC News Channel. For more breaking news and updates, check out our website, eacnews.asia. Or check out EAC News on Telegram or at your favorite app store. More from the EAC News team tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We will see you then.